Hey guys, so I wanted to do a video about how Brandon and I found out that we are pregnant. Right now I'm 37 weeks, so she will be coming soon. And the story may be kind of long because it was kind of difficult finding out that we were pregnant, but yeah. So before I start the story, I just wanted to let you guys know a few things. A few questions that you guys might have. So the first one is, of course, me and the father are still together. At the time, we were just dating and living with his mom, but now we are engaged and we have our own apartment. It's actually our second apartment, but I can talk more about that in another video. We've been together now for a little over 3 years. And yeah. And then let's see, the last thing I kind of wanted to say before I started the video is I have this weird medical issue where I can lose my vision completely and have to go to the hospital for about a week. They give me steroids and other stuff and do tests and everything, and it usually comes back. And I'm telling you this because that's actually where the story starts. So this happened, and I told Brandon, so he was like, okay, let's go to the hospital. And we did, and while we were waiting in the emergency room area, they were, asking us questions and everything, taking my vitals while we were waiting for a room to open up upstairs for me to be admitted. And so it was just the usual stuff, and one of the things they asked was when was my last menstrual cycle. And I told them about almost a month ago or about a month ago, not quite sure, because my period is very irregular. It's never been like this day every month. It's just kind of been all over the place. But I have never missed my period. Since I've gotten it in the 6th grade, I've gotten it monthly. I kind of explained that to them, and they're like, okay, well, it's kind of mandatory for us to do a pregnancy test. And so I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Kind of already expected it. We both did. And so they gave me the little cup to pee in. Did that. This might be a little TMI. So yeah, I peed in the little cup, and then the nurse came in and did the pregnancy test in front of us. And so while we were waiting, it was this awkward silence. So it felt like forever, but it really wasn't. It was probably just like maybe 2 minutes. And so she looked down at the pregnancy test and she's like, okay, it's negative, and then she left. And Brandon has this thing where he likes to look at things and research them, look them up and stuff. So after she left, he waited a little bit and then went around to look at the pregnancy test. And then he looked it up. And when he looked it up how it would look if it was positive and how it would look if it was negative. And he was like, Alyssa. I was like, what? And he's like, look. And he showed me his phone with the pictures of how they should look and the pregnancy test that I took. and it looked like the pregnant one saying that you're pregnant. And we're like, oh, well, she did kind of leave fast. You know, she probably didn't wait long enough. So we'll say something, we'll tell them. And we were gonna do that. But after that, they didn't come back in until they took us upstairs to the room. And by the time they did that, it was like 1 or 2 in the morning. So we were exhausted. So we didn't bring it up. But later that day, they came in to take me for an MRI. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's kind of just like they were going to take pictures of my brain and everything to see if everything's okay. But you can't really do that if you're pregnant. So when they came in and told me that, I kind of explained what happened the night before. And they're like, oh, okay, no worries, we'll take another one. So again, peed in a little cup, but this time they took it. And so we just waited and waited, and then they came back and took me to the MRI. They didn't say anything or anything, and since they took me to the MRI, we just assumed it's a negative. So we're like, okay, maybe we were wrong. Maybe Brandon looked up like a different pregnancy test or something. I don't know, like, we just kind of put it in the back of our minds, didn't really think much of it. And so we were just gonna stay in the hospital for a week, and Brandon needed to go home to get some stuff for himself. And since he was gonna do that, I told him to get me, you know, my girl necessities, because whenever I'm in the hospital, I think because of the steroids and everything they give me, it always makes my period come. So I told him, you know, because pretty much I knew that it was going to come. And he's like, yeah, sure. So he went and got my stuff. I didn't use them. My period never came. I thought it was so weird. After that, I left the hospital, and about a day later went back to my doctor's just to kind of review everything that happened at the hospital. And I still hadn't gotten my period, so I told them, I think I said something like, I think I might be pregnant. And I explained that I haven't gotten my period and everything, and they were like, oh no, don't worry about it. It's probably because of the steroids. It like messes with your system, and so you might not get your period this month. And I was like, okay. Like, that's never happened to me. So I thought it was weird, and I thought maybe my period might just be a little later this month, but I know I won't miss it. So I decided to, again, put it in the back of my mind and just wait. Like, the longest I've gone without having my period is about 6 weeks. But it's never gone, like, a full month without me having it. So, you know, I didn't worry about it for a while, but again, sorry, my dog just came. So after that, about a week or so later, I still hadn't gotten my period, and so again, the idea came up in my mind, and I told Brandon, you know, can we get a pregnancy test? You know, just like, it's probably gonna be negative, but just to know. And he's like, yeah, of course. So we got a pregnancy test. It came with 2, and went back to our house, and he was downstairs. I went upstairs to our bathroom, and I took the pregnancy test. And you know, with most pregnancy tests, you're supposed to pee on a stick, close it, put it on the counter, and wait a couple minutes, and then it'll show up if you're pregnant or not. That's not really what happened. I peed on the stick, and the moment I lifted it up and saw it, it was already positive. It was that fast. And it was just a pregnancy test from like the dollar store too, like not like the dollar store, but like a cheap store, not an actual big one. But it was already positive, and yep. That didn't take long. So I called Brandon and I showed it to him, and we were both shocked. I was laughing and crying. I think he was so shocked he didn't really have any emotion. So he was kind of just like staring. But yeah, and after that we talked about it, and we decided before we do anything, say anything, let's actually get it confirmed. Because again, I mean, most pregnancy tests aren't wrong if they're positive, but it was from like the dollar store, so who knows. So we were gonna go to a teen center and take a pregnancy test there. So we waited a couple of days and did that. By the way, also I took the second pregnancy test later that night, and again the same thing happened. I even had Brandon kind of stay close to the door so he knows like I wasn't lying. But yeah, anyways, a couple days later, we went to the teen center and took the pregnancy test, and it was positive. And so she set us up with an appointment with an OBGYN, and I think that was about a week or so later. So we were gonna wait for that first appointment to confirm it with an actual doctor and everything, see what's going on before we told you know, like our friends, family, parents, everyone. So we did. Brandon was still in school at the time though, so when I went for the appointment, I went by myself. But when they were doing everything, they decided to do on gosh, I forgot the name of it, an ultrasound, but vaginally. So when they did it, the doctor that I'm gonna, like my actual OBGYN, he saw this like thing in the way, so he couldn't find the baby. So it wasn't really confirmed that day, and he told me to come back the next day at his other office. So we didn't tell anyone that day, but the next day again I went alone, and before I went to talk to the main doctor, a nurse did that vaginal ultrasound again. I'm so sorry, I forgot the name. I keep forgetting everything now. But she found the baby pretty fast, and so it confirmed everything, and I got to see the baby, got pictures and showed Brandon later that day, and yep, that's how we found out.